Have you ever taken a trade and then it reverses, takes your stops, and then it runs straight to where you thought? Well, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the logic behind why this is happening. I'm going to show you examples of how you can use this to know the bias, and I'm going to tell you how you can use this logic to make so much money so you can travel wherever you want. Okay, so why is this happening? This is happening because it all comes down to engineering liquidity. So right here, some people would have taken this as a long. Right here, right? We have this double bottom, we have this whatever, break of structure, we have demand zone. But you have to understand the goal of this entire move here is to engineer liquidity for this 4-hour bank block. Now, what is a bank block? A bank block is a zone where the banks have been buying up positions. Now, for the banks to be able to enter in this bank block where they still have orders, they need liquidity. And liquidity is basically just stop loss orders from people going short. So what happens when we don't get this breakout here? If we just run here? Well, it's a lot less in your liquidity. But if we get the breakout below, what does that mean? A bunch of traders are going short, which engineers so much more liquidity. And so this is in general why this is happening to you, because the the engineer liquidity that needs to happen hasn't happened yet. And if we drop down to the 1 minute, once you can always kind of predict like, okay, we're gonna go back into this bank block. When are we likely to go there? Okay, the move is not gonna happen until we have the engineered liquidity, which is right here. And how do you use this framework to make so much money? Well, basically, it can help you with the bias in crazy ways. So, for example, here you just know that here you can look for a short because the bias is bearish because a move up can't happen until they've engineered this liquidity. Okay, so you can be bearish there, or here, like I did in the live stream this week, you can look for a long, right? And in this instance, we just got this 15-second order block, which is tiny, but it's there and it's an entry. And a good trade, I mean, you can use whatever strategy. It all comes down to bias. And with this framework, you can always know the bias. And I call this framework to basically understand this, the fake it, then make it framework. And it comes down to understanding that the banks have to fake the move first before they can manipulate, and then the real move can happen because that's more liquidity for the banks and they can get position. So step one in my 3-step fake it then make it framework is find the bank block. In this instance, we start on the daily. We know our bias is likely bearish, as I called out in We're Gonna Crash video this week. Why? Because we want to engineer some liquidity here. I'm going to show you in the future tense now how you're going to use this engineer liquidity framework. So what's going on right now? If we break down here, can this be the real move? Can we crash after this breakout? Many would say yes. I say no, because have the banks been given the opportunity to enter their trade? If you think about it, have we had that much engineer liquidity? Not really, right? I mean, it's gonna start to come right now because we're getting this breakout now next week, and this is where it's gonna come. But before that, I mean, no liquidity has really been engineered besides this double top here and this move down here. But I highly doubt this is enough. Um, but that would be wrong if we break down all the way below here. Then I anticipate this becomes the bank block. We're gonna see some engineer liquidity in there. But for now, I believe we're going to break down below this right there. And what is that going to cause? People go short. Boom. Break down below trend line. People go short. Stop there. Double top. Stops there. Break down below this low. People go short. Stops there. Do you see the logic behind? And then you connect this, that all the stops are up there, to, okay, banks are now being given an opportunity to actually enter the trade, right? Because the real move can't start before the banks can enter. That's the whole point of this, okay? So the three-step find, fake it then make it framework is find the bank block. Right now we don't have one. It would be this one, but I anticipate we will get this, something like that. This one, post validation. Then find engineer liquidity above slash below. Let's drop down to yesterday's setup again. So this here is our bank block. Where's the engineer liquidity? What's going on when we get all these double tops? Double tops. Boom, boom. Trendline breakout. Every single time. It's engineered liquidity. Okay, so that's step 2. Find the bank block. Find the engineered liquidity. And from that, you then, step 3, and this is how you print. This is how you make a shit ton of money, like I'm gonna do next week on the live stream. Feel free to stop by. I'm just gonna teach this framework for a short amount of time. I'll probably stop with the live streams. So please check it out next week. If I'm a scammer, then screw me, right? Next, find a lower time frame entry. Now, this comes most likely from this. You want to look for a 1-minute order block or a bank block. Now, why is this a bank block on the lower time frame? Because this right here on the NQH, not on the NQ1, that is an internal range low. Breakdown below that means people go short, have their stops there. So this move up here is a move where the banks bought because we engineered liquidity. We engineered retail to go short. And so banks could get in. From there, you want to find exactly the same. What is happening here? Double top, breakdown below, right? Even more engineer liquidity. Double top, people go short. Breakdown below, right? And so you look for this and you want to see ideally 3 times this engineered liquidity happen. So we have 1, 2, and we're probably going to see 1 more in the Asia or London of tomorrow. And then once it hits your PDRA, in this case, this 1-minute order block, you look for a 1-minute order block away from there. And you want to hold this for long, okay? You want to find standard deviation. Now, I'll show you the standard deviation later if you want, but first, I'm going to show you this happened in Tesla. This exact framework happened in Tesla. So, I just showed this on live stream yesterday, but I think it's so beautiful. So, what is this? Right? It's a flag, right? When we get a breakout from a flag, where do people have their stops? On the intermediate range low. When we get, now, can this be the real move here? Yes, if we validate like up here, right? It's no clean order block here. That's the order block. Now, we don't get that there. Instead, we get this breakout in the flag. People go long. So now stops are right below there. And then we start getting all this consolidation here, right? Another double bottom, another double bottom, another double bottom, a trend line breakout, right? And so all of a sudden, it's so much liquidity here. And once we get this sweep here, What's the rule then? You want to look for a lower time frame order block. That's rule 2. Find the bank block. And this is like where the real pros enter. That's where I find my entries. But what you want to do is, okay, now the banks are positioned here. I will teach you how to know how to anticipate the bank blocks as well. It basically comes down to just thinking one step ahead, but whatever. So now you know with this move, banks are now positioned because they've engineered so much liquidity here. We get that validated. So now you know in here, this is the bank block. So what you want to do is look for engineered liquidity within that. Drop down into daily. So did we get it? Can you find a double bottom here? Some kind of breakout, right? Why didn't we run just after this? I mean, they've taken a bunch of stops here, right? Well, they don't want that. They want even more in general, right? And this whole thing here gives them a lot better risk reward setup, right? With this, they can go like this instead of going like that. So breakout, look for that. Look at all the liquidity being engineered. Swept, we sweep that low, and boom, we validate. That's where you want to enter on the daily if you want to swing trade. If you want to trade on the intraday, you just do this but on the lower time frame, right? Like on the Nasdaq. Let me just go back. On the Nasdaq, this is our bank block. How do you know this? Because it's clearly where on the 4-hour stops are there, right? Breakdown below. And we calm down, crashing down, validating. Okay, bias and aligns with a higher time frame bias of the crash, right? It's quite obvious. And okay, so now you know, okay, higher time frame we're gonna be bearish. What I look for now, engineered liquidity. So for intraday, you can look for here, okay, any break below here is just gonna be a fake out. So you can look for a lower time frame entry there. That's where you make money. Bias up there. Can you do it again? Yes. Still, you anticipate a move to be higher up here because we're still the way it's acting here. These breakouts here, double top, it's still engineering liquidity. It's still making retail go short. In general, remember we want three different types where retail goes short. So basically the whole point of what I want you to take away, find the bank block, find the fake out, and then you can use the fake out to find a good entry because you know the bias is to go back. You know the fake out is a fake out because we have to go back to the bank block so the banks can reposition themselves and we can come crashing down. Okay. Now, how long do you hold? Standard deviation. I'll show you this, the likeness of this, the framework in the last crash as well. It's beautiful. My first video I called last crash. So this breakout below, people go short. Get these double top, double top, double top. Like it's so clearly engineer liquidity and it can't run before we sweep. Do we need to sweep this high? No. Okay. Why? Because all the engineer liquidity is above which high? It's there. Doesn't have to go up there because barely anyone has their stops there. This is the resistance. Okay. And so with that, you you can basically just take this as your entry. Or if you want even more security, even higher risk reward, you take it, you look for a lower time frame or block from the zone where you anticipate the reversal. In this case, this is it. This is this is the bank block. Okay. Why don't we need to come back there? Because on the higher time frame, this is kind of an entry block, you can call this, whilst this is the bank block. And I'll show you proof of this with the standard deviation. How far do we go? Straight into the bank block, standard deviation 2 to 2.5. I promise you, go back test this and you'll see how crazy the bank block standard deviation is. It's everywhere. Even here. This, there is the bank block, right? Why? Because we faked out people to go long. Okay? On the monthly. This is a monthly swing high. Sweep those stops, and you can also use this as the proof. Now, what's the model? What did I tell you for my fake it then make it framework? So you want to find the bank block. You want to find the engineer liquidity above slash below. Can you find any engineer liquidity above slash below? Ding, ding, ding. Yes. This. Study this. Okay. Double bottom. Fake trendline breakout. Where are stops? Below there. Boom. Look. Double top. Bottom. Another trendline breakout. Right? Sweep it. What does this now become? That's our new bank block on the daily. Look what happens. Is this not crazy? Okay. What happens then? Where is our new bank block? That's the lower time frame one. This ought to be the higher time frame one. No, it's not a sheet code, but it in general it's ridiculously efficient. Okay, find the bank block, extend it by 2 to 2.5. If you get another bank block from a bank block, like we get here, why? Because it breaks the swing high, then breaks the swing low. Then you extend it from the second one. Okay, but you have to match this to the time frame though. So if you get a monthly one, you can extend the weekly one. No, then you're still working with the monthly one, and then on the lower time frame ones, you work with the daily and the weekly ones. Look at that. Look at the COVID. Right? It's highly efficient. This, yeah. Um, I hope I covered the framework I wanted to teach, and please, if you have questions, stop by my live, put on notifications because I'm live like a couple days of the week. Um, and I live trade, I execute on this. Last week we did make some money. You can check the live streams, even though it was a almost week because we didn't get the minute order blocks. It was mostly like second order blocks. and I'm not as aggressive with those. The mini ones, beautiful. But but yeah, stop by the live, check out the other videos, check out me. We have a really good trade setup today. Check out We're Gonna Crash. Check all of those out, and you can basically predict the bias. And if you know the bias, then you can use any strategy and make a shit ton of money. Welcome. You're now a handsome trader. Nah, fuck that. All the best, guys. Thanks for watching.